All right, so hello everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Star Wars Mark of Balance. My name is Mark, and I'm very excited to bring you guys another Star Wars story interview today. I'm even more excited because this is my first Star Wars story interview with a coworker, and I can tell it's going to be a great interview. Chris has come with a lot of passion with Star Wars whenever I see him at any of the summits, and he has a Star Wars tattoo that I definitely want to talk about. That was the first thing that I noticed when we first met. So I want to obviously introduce Chris to the podcast. Say hello to everyone.
Hi, everyone. Nice to be on here. Mark, thank you for having me.
Of course, of course. So just to give some backstory, we were both at a staff summit a couple months ago in Denver. We were talking, we were both very new to the team. So that first night when we all met, I think I noticed, some sort of saber hilt on his arm. It's kind of surrounded by flowers or like leaves. So I was like, okay, maybe that is, maybe that's not, but I'm not going to be the Star Wars freak on the first night meeting someone. So then the next day we had, a conference room kind of meeting, and he reached across the table, and I was like, no, that's Luke's lightsaber hilt right on his forearm. And I brought it up to him. And yeah, I just want to hear the inspiration behind the tattoo, because it is kind of hidden. It's kind of like a minimal, like you wouldn't first notice that it's a Star Wars tattoo unless you looked at it. So definitely want to hear the inspiration behind it and why you picked Luke and Kylo.
Yeah. So, when I was looking through different, ideas for Star Wars tattoos, I thought of getting kind of like a blueprint of the Millennium Falcon somewhere. I wanted, I was like, I couldn't really settle on what I wanted. And then, I decided to just kind of rewatch the prequels and the original trilogy for rewatch those back through, and then I was just watching it. When I saw Luke's saber on the screen, I thought to myself, I was like, dang, that is just like it's such a simple but such a cool design. I absolutely loved it. And then when the prequels came out, I loved Kylo's lightsaber with the unstable, you
Mm-hmm.
know, kyber crystal and everything. I thought like the raw power was like coming out of the vents was really cool. So I was like, yeah, I think if I had to choose either saber, I think I would choose. Those are the ones that I would choose. So I decided, get it on. Then the sunflowers are like my fiance's favorite flowers. So
Very cool.
dappled around there. Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, Kylo's lightsaber is definitely iconic. I really like the crossguard, and I like how Luke's lightsaber is almost kind of like a copy of Obi-Wan's. Like it's very close
Hmm.
and very similar to Obi-Wan, so you could see there was like inspiration from Obi-Wan to Luke. So I thought that was
Yeah.
really cool. And so do Luke and Kylo have like a special place for you in the characters kind of hierarchy, or is it more just like a design thing? I like those two lightsabers.
Luke, I absolutely love. And Kylo, I really like him, but I liked him for the potential of how
Right.
awesome he could have been.
Hmm.
But yeah, I like Kylo for more of the potential, but Luke I just liked because he was just extremely powerful and balanced. He was just awesome. It
Yeah,
was
yeah.
like I think it was so I got actually my fiance and I we went to Galaxy's Edge in Florida and I got Luke's lightsaber.
Oh, nice.
Got it right here.
Love it.
Greatest day of my life. Got a little thing. I still need to get like a good clip so I can just sometimes wear it and make myself feel really cool.
Right.
But I think it was like later that year was the finale of Mandalorian. The
Hmm. Yeah,
and,
where he
and
shows
like
up.
he
Yeah.
was walking through it and it shows it's like you can hear the humming, like the humming of his lightsaber. I think is my one of the best sounds.
Hmm.
And you saw like Luke's hilt, and I freaked out when that went. As soon as I saw the X-wing, I had my suspicions, but I was like, no way, it's
Yeah.
actually.
Right. You mentioned you mentioned a good thing like about the lightsaber sounds. I think it's so cool that each lightsaber can have like a different hum. Like it is weird that you can identify lightsabers by the hum. So I'm glad you brought that up. And is that the lightsaber you use to battle your dogs for the for the
it,
Halloween costume that you showed to the group?
it is indeed. It is indeed. I remember, my fiance actually she also got sabers and she got Ahsoka's
Oh
the
yes.
double white ones.
Yes.
They're pretty. They're super heavy though. It's great. But so like when we got them, obviously we immediately put the blades in. We're messing around and fighting, and it was just like whenever the dogs would walk by, if I stared at one in particular, he would kind of like his eyes would go big and he'd like get all stiff, and then he would like come attack me. So after that, whenever I'd light up the lights, as soon as I start like just prodding them with it, then they start like trying to attack me and stuff. It's really funny.
Oh, that's awesome. That's their new favorite toy
It
is
is.
fighting the lightsaber.
It
Yeah,
is. They
when
get all
you
riled up and then they start swinging and everything. It's funny.
yeah, when you pulled up that video during like one of our just like team meetings, it was kind of like a
Yeah.
staff meeting. You pull up that video, I'm like, damn, I really have to get this guy on the podcast. He's showing this to the whole group. I love it. He's got more guts
Yeah.
than me.
I got no shame. I wish I had more of a lightsaber collection, but eventually, one day.
Right. Yeah. Everyone's got their Star Wars collection. Mine's
Yeah.
Legos, but I know a lot of people collect the hilts, and I think it's awesome.
Yeah.
Do
We
you?
got a few Legos from various Christmas presents and everything, but they're
Yeah.
all my fiance all took them to her office, so I don't have any.
Oh, she took them from you.
Yeah, well, they were really gifted to her,
Oh,
unfortunately for me.
yeah. Is she a big fan as well?
She is, yeah. She
Okay.
is. She loves the dark side. That's her. She's one of those. One of those.
Respect. Yeah, respect. So I'm sure there's some good conversations between you
Oh
guys.
yeah.
That's what I'm looking for, in love. That is to get someone as
Oh yeah.
obsessed with Star Wars as me. That's
Oh
awesome.
yeah. It's great.
Um, so I do want to now backtrack to your kind of Star Wars origin story. So
Sure.
what was that first memory for you with Star Wars? And if you can't remember that first memory, what was that moment where you're like, I love this. I'm going to dedicate my life to loving this, and I'm going to get a tattoo for this.
I remember like so. I remember I do remember the first time I ever saw a Star Wars movie. It was I think it was shortly after like the prequels or the prequels came out, and I remember my dad had the VHS, and we had this big ass like you know heavy clunky wardrobe that had the TV in it
Yeah.
and the VCR and all that. So like we were watching Star Wars, and I just remember so clearly. It's like it was one of the coolest things ever to my little however old I was brain. Like the scene in the Phantom Menace where Qui-Gon is just he's sticking his lightsaber through the door and just cutting through
Yes.
like like
Yeah.
a foot thick steel door, and like it's melting all around. I was like, oh my god, this is amazing. And then like for a while, I just kind of I never really sought it out,
Hmm.
I just always knew I liked it, but then I really started getting back into it. My brother actually, he got me back into playing this little game on the phone, the Star Wars, it was the Galaxy of Heroes, I think,
Hmm. Yeah.
a little turn-based game. And then he was like, "Hey, man, I think you should really watch the animated Clone Wars. It's like
Oh,
you'd
let's
really
go.
like it." And I was like, "Okay, sure." And I did, and obviously I never turned back. And then we as a family would always go to the Star Wars like premieres, like whatever. It was like 4 years in a row. They were coming out like Christmas time, and
Hmm.
we go to those, and it was a great time.
I love that. There's so many great points I want to jump into on that. The first thing is just like the lightsaber going through the door. Like it's such a simple thing, but it's funny how that kind of like sticks with you.
Oh
And I
yeah,
think that's probably happened for a lot of people.
just blew
Um,
my little 8-year-old mind.
right. Yeah, exactly. And the fact that like all Jedi can cut perfect circles every time they go through a door. I don't know if it's like a training class. I don't know what happens, but every Jedi nails the perfect circle. um,
That's true.
Yeah. The other thing is obviously like it's always a family thing, whether it's like a father or mother passing it down or, a brother coming back and, getting you back into it. It's always like a family thing, which is so cool because it's like reflecting the movies so well. And finally, I didn't know much about your Star Wars fandom before this interview. I know we just kind of like geeked out about like Andor the last time we were together, but
Yep.
Clone Wars, I mean, you came on the podcast and you're wearing an Ahsoka merch hoodie, which I was
Oh
like,
yeah.
hell yeah, from the Siege of Mandalore. So I was like, oh, okay, great. We got a Clone Wars
Yeah.
kid. And now you're saying that Clone Wars was the thing that like really, really got you into Star Wars
Oh yeah.
at the end of the day. And I grew up, obviously I watched the prequels first, but like I was 8 watching the Clone Wars show every week on Cartoon Network. So I'm like a huge Clone Wars guy. Like that's what I grew up on Star Wars. So I definitely want to hear your thoughts and like your favorite moments from Clone Wars because I can't get enough of talking about Clone Wars.
Well, I think of Clone Wars in two spots. I think of like season 7 as its own, the final
Yeah.
season as its own thing, because it's like that season is the most incredible Star Wars. Like in terms of like the show that's been put out, like Mandalorian's been, but that season was just absolutely incredible.
Yeah.
But then the thing that really brought me back, like that my brother got me to he was like hey man, I don't want to, spoiler, but like, Maul comes back. And I was
Mm.
like, what? Like I had to see it, and so that was kind of the thing that drew me back in was Maul. And then I loved that was probably one of my favorite things about Clone Wars is like the development of Maul. And then Sam Whitmer, I think his name is.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And he's just like fantastic.
Yeah, him in season 7, like you said. I mean, in the Siege of Mandalore, like that acting performance from like a voice actor level is just like top notch. And
Oh my god, it's so good. Like how he has like this kind of the way he has of speaking, like this, like like you can tell he's absolutely mad, but you're like, hold on, he makes some good points.
he makes some good points. That was the best part when he was like talking, and I was like, he knows exactly what's gonna happen, and he's telling Ahsoka right to her face, and she's too obsessed with the idea of Anakin that she can't even see that he might be right.
Oh yeah, and like it gets me thinking. I was like, what? No, he makes so many good points. Would I be swayed? Like I really think about it sometimes. I'm like, would Maul get me to join him? Like I don't know. I have no doubts.
Yeah, I mean he's not the most like trustworthy person when you look at him. But he does have that silver tongue, and he makes a lot of good points, like you said. I'm sure your fiance loves Darth Maul as a dark side lover.
Oh yeah, that was like the whole when Savage came back, and then like the whole Maul's whole storyline. Like she absolutely loved it because like the Duel of Fates. I think we both really like listening to like movie soundtracks or like scores specifically.
Love that.
And so like obviously like whenever we play Star Wars, it's like it's always Duel of Fates. Always the Imperial March. Always the two heroes battle, Anakin and Obi-Wan's lightsaber. I mean, it's just like So yeah, she loves Maul and she loves Vader.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, I mean, Clone Wars, what a risk to take to bring back Maul. Like when that first happened, it was just like, wow, they actually brought him back, and then in the end, they stuck the landing. He's great. Have you seen Rebels?
Yes, I have.
Okay, so I mean, even more Maul.
Oh yeah, even more Maul. It was. I love the amount of Maul in Rebels.
And what are your thoughts overall on Rebels? Because I know it is a departure from Clone Wars, but
yeah,
what are your thoughts overall?
I liked it in its own right. It's a much different feel than the Clone Wars. I mean, just because it's so much different of a time. Like a lot of the Clone Wars, it's always like it's so serious most of the time, just because of they're in war,
right?
But then like it's like some of it's a little bit more. They're just trying to get by and survive while also trying to fight the. So it's like it's like a different kind of setting, but I still like I really like I thought they ended it and wrapped it up really well.
Yeah. The end of Rebels is just fantastic. So I do want to move on from animated TV, and as I kind of preface this, we talked about Andor, and I mean you just like were enamored with it when we met. Yeah. I think you literally came up to me, you're like, Mark, we have to talk. I'm like, yes, we do, about the interview, right? And he's like, no, yes, that, but also we have to talk about Andor. So I want to give you the stage to talk about Andor, favorite parts, and like what you hope other Star Wars shows do now, like now that Andor has happened, because it is so different and so much different kind of quality than maybe the other ones that we've gotten. So I definitely want to let you go off on Andor right now.
So like kind of what got me really excited for Andor in the first place is that I absolutely adore the movie Rogue One. I think it's like it's one of the for me it's one of my favorite pieces of Star Wars.
Yeah.
Just the whole thing is incredible. So like obviously I was really excited. I was like, okay, cool. And then once I heard that the director for Rogue One was also directing the show, I was like, okay, there's no way this is going to be bad. Like this is going to be incredible. And normally, I've always been most interested in the Force users. Like absolutely always. It's like Mandalorians are really cool as well, but like it's really hard sometimes for me to get into the just the non-Force using non-Mandalorians like protagonists.
Yeah.
But this one was so compelling because like he had from a young age he had every single reason to join the rebellion right away and be like but he just wanted to get away. And when he got in prison, that was the like that first night when he was like, holy shit, what am I supposed to do?
Right.
there's no escape. Like, I'm going to be here forever. It was absolutely soul crushing, and just like the casual cruelness of the whole thing was just like it was creepy. It was very creepy.
Right. Yeah. No, that's a good way to put it. Casual cruelness, because that was like the emphasis of the show, just going about your day or going about your job in a system like the Empire, in a fascist system. Like, you're doing evil, but you don't realize you're doing evil because you're just doing your job, or you think you're doing the right thing. And I think that was like so compelling, just everyday evil. So I like the casual cruelness is a good way to put it. Yeah, I mean, and the ensemble cast. I mean, Andor really drives it, but I think, you know, from an ensemble standpoint, like compared to other Star Wars shows, like there's a lot of characters you attach to here, and I love how it jumped around the galaxy and how it was all interconnected.
Oh yeah, I love Mon Mothma.
Yes, my girl.
And kind of she was incredible. Oh yeah, she was incredible. Like the, you know, kind of balancing this, like how much risk she is taking while also, like, you know, trying to dodge, you know, Empire spies because they're suspicious of her, while her, like, she can't even trust her husband because of, you know, her Chandrillan customs and stuff like that. And and then her, and I think Luthen was probably, like, for me, the highlight of the show. I mean, he was incredible, and I love his ship. His ship might be one of my favorite Star Wars ships. Oh my gosh, such a cool ship.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to call them lightsabers because I think that's like too obvious. I think they're more like ray shields, like focus. I don't know, but like a lightsaber on a ship is pretty wild.
Yeah,
that's pretty wild.
That was so cool. And then the how he got out of, like, the tractor, the arrestor cruiser or whatever it's called. I mean, he was such a cool, and that one speech he gave to that monologue he went off on that on his informant in the whatever, the ISB. Oh my god, like, what have I sacrificed? Everything. Like, that whole speech, I was like getting up off my seat, like about to, you know, go join the rebellion. I was like, if he said that to me, I'm like, yes, sir. I'm in, you know.
That'll get that informant to fall right in line after listening to that. Yeah, I think we talked about that at the staff summit. It was like, Kino Loy gives this amazing speech, and then 5 minutes later we have another amazing speech. What did you think of Kino Loy? Not just, you know, his speech, but, you know, his whole arc through those prison episodes.
I love that it was like, I love that, like, so first of all, I love Andy Serkis. Like, you know, my fiance really has got, like, I've always liked Lord of the Rings, but she's given me a whole new appreciation for it. And specifically, you know, Andy Serkis, I think he can do no wrong. I mean, he's incredible. So to kind of get that surprise that, you know, you know, oh my God, that's Andy Serkis, and he just plays this ball buster character. You know, like, he thinks the system is honorable. You know, that they wouldn't do it. Then once he finally realizes that, you know, what he's been doing, to think that he'll get out was just like, it was like a soul crushing moment for him. And then to see him, like, actually, you know, like, actually fight it was awesome.
Yeah, you took the words right out of my mouth when I did the episode. When I did the episode and reviewed that episode, I basically said the same thing. Like, he trusted the system. Like, he was institutionalized to the point where he just blindly trusted the system, that, like, a broken system would honor his days. Like, I only have 100 days left, like, and I'll be good. The Empire will definitely let me out in 100 days. And
he was just so desperate desperate to want to get out that he put his full faith in it.
Yeah, and I know there's a lot of theories that, you know, he basically knew that, you know, he would never get out because they would have to jump into the water and he can't swim. Do you think, like, he knew that, or did you think maybe he had hope that there would be a ship to get out in the end?
I honestly, you know, I thought about that too. Like, I honestly think it was just, he was so fed up with, or he was just so ready to leave then, that, like, he felt so wrong for actually, it felt like so, like, betrayed. He didn't even think, I don't think he even considered it. And then it was just, once the hard part is over, you know, you think the hard part is over. He looks down and sees that, like, this impossible wall in front of him, that, you know, that I just don't think that he even, it was just, he was so hyped up in the moment. I don't think he even realized it.
Yeah, no, that's true. Cause, like, his whole world shattered in like 12 hours. And then, he gets like super impassioned, rageful, like, speech, you know. I would totally agree. His adrenaline just pumping. He's not even thinking. And then, you know, he gets out there and he's like, damn, can't swim. Good luck though, guys.
Oh, it's horrible. It's horrible.
So tough. And so what are you looking forward to? What are you hoping that other Star Wars shows do now, having seen Andor? Because I think the way
Mhm.
you put it was like this was your favorite Star Wars live action show and some of your favorite Star Wars like period. So what are you hoping that those
Yeah.
new Star Wars shows are going to do, and maybe maybe Mandalorian season 3, season 4, like they take from Andor.
Yeah. It's harder, I think, for the Mandalorians. It's easier for Mandalorian. I think I don't know. Mandalorian, I'm really not sure because the struggle is in a way totally different
Mm-hmm.
than the rebels. But I love the grayish nature of fighting
Yeah.
the empire so ruthlessly.
Mm-hmm.
It's especially when Luthen and Mon Mothma were talking one time, I think in his shop, and he was like, "You knew that there was going to be the people were going to die. Like
Yeah.
we knew this. Like
Mm-hmm.
don't act surprised. Don't act surprised now. Like there's no like the awareness that this righteousness is still going to cause a lot of pain. I thought that was like the most compelling part of it. The evil was so evil, but then even the people fighting it were like, I know that like you said, I'm damned for what I do.
Yeah. No, that's a good point. And I know that probably wasn't like the easiest question to drop on you. So I definitely respect the answer. And I think, it is good, like definitely moving towards that gray area of Star Wars. I think, Mandalorian
Yeah.
started there with him being like a ruthless bounty hunter. Like he takes in that first guy, like I could take you in warm or I could take you in cold. And then I don't want to say his flip was pretty quick, but, by the end of season 1, he was a good guy. But I think what Andor
Yeah.
kind of sets the stage for is that a character can be gray throughout, and they'll have those good moments, but then you'll also have some of those like dark moments, and I think that's a good thing to call out for future Star Wars, like definitely embracing
Mhm.
that gray zone and have those characters that make those
Yeah.
morally ambiguous choices. So
Oh, absolutely.
props to you for actually being able to stick the landing. Because I said it, I was like, damn, that's kind of a tough question on the spot, but no, definitely love it. Are there any other shows you're looking forward to that are coming out? I think Ahsoka, obviously, with the merch on and the Clone Wars
Yeah.
background.
Oh yeah. Love it. Yeah, love Ahsoka. Her brief intro on the Mandalorian was like, okay, good, good.
Hmm.
Like it was one of those things like I really like Rosario Dawson. So I thought she did. So I'm really excited for Ahsoka. Then, whenever they start expanding into like the old Republic era, I think that's what I'm really because that's kind of like the new I feel like the Skywalker, the whole Skywalker saga, I mean, while a lot of potential great stories in there, I feel like it's also time for them to expand beyond and start like kind of creating like a new era of Star Wars.
Hmm.
And so I'm really excited for some of like the Sith Acolyte show sounds really cool.
Right.
And I've read a few of the books about the Old Republic. So I've read a few about Darth Revan and I can't remember the name I can't remember the name Malgus, I think, and
Yeah.
like some of the stories about like intimately within the Sith Empire. I thought like, oh, that's cool. Instead of just the rule of two, it's cool that there are these two kind of like massive bureaucracy kind of giant organizations battling each other.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah. I would totally agree with you that Acolyte is definitely my, aside from Andor season 2,
Yeah.
Acolyte's definitely on the top of my list because of that Sith aspect, and just that they're just going to a whole nother era, and just
Mhm.
leaving the Skywalker saga behind, just so they could tell like super new stories, and not be kind of bound by what already is
Yeah.
going to happen. Like the ending of everything when it comes to
Yeah.
the stuff we're learning about now in Star Wars. So it's nice to
Yeah.
jump back in time. So I totally agree there. The other thing, a lot of TV and movies are coming out. Oh, no movies at this point, but a lot of TV's coming out. With video games, we have Jedi Survivor coming out. Unfortunately, it got delayed to the
Yeah,
end
I
of
saw
April
that.
now. But yeah, what are you most looking forward to in Jedi Survivor? And what were some of your favorite parts of Fallen Order? Because we talked about it a little, that we both love that game and we're so excited for Survivor.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, Fallen Order was because I really never played any of the Force Unleashed games, and I
Hmm.
never really got to, not that I didn't get to, I just didn't, I was in a strictly FIFA phase at that point. So
Okay,
I
of
was, I
course.
was so I didn't get to play any of the Force Unleashed games. So that was really my first kind of seriously animated Star Wars game. I mean, I love Lego Star Wars.
Yeah,
I could
yeah.
mess around the cantina for hours. Um, but like, yeah, it was my first really serious Star Wars game.
Hmm.
and I didn't play Battlefront either. So
Oh my
it was,
gosh.
I know, and I look back, I'm like, God, Battlefront would be so cool. I wish it, um, so I was like, dang, and I thought they did the mechanics and just the kind of the movement of the Jedi and the lightsaber and the Force stuff was, I thought it was great.
Hmm.
And from at least like a few videos of the next playthrough, it seems like they've expanded it even more, and in the movements and the Force, how you can apply the Force is like expanded even more. So I think the fighting looks even better.
Hmm.
When I saw they delayed the release, and they're like, just working on some final bugs. I'm like, you guys take your time.
Right,
I
right,
want
right. Yeah, yeah.
like obviously obviously damn, but you guys take your time. I don't want, I want this to be good.
No, I totally agree. I wish more game companies would just, be honest and be like, yeah, it's not done. Let's just give us some time instead of releasing
Yeah.
a broken game, because like those first impressions are so important. So yeah, I think Fallen Order, the biggest thing for me was the story, and this game Survivor looks like it has an even more interesting story with this figure that's in the back to tank, and there's these other guys that also have lightsabers, but they're not Sith. It's a very interesting what they're doing, and I'm curious to see where this story goes, because I did love the story from the first game so much.
Yeah. Yeah. The first story was awesome. But to be honest, I haven't, it's weird. Sometimes for some things I'll watch trailers and stuff like that, but
Hmm.
for some reason this one I was like, I don't want to. I want to come in as fresh as possible. Like I've seen some of the finding mechanics and stuff improve like that,
Yeah.
some of the gameplay stuff. But as far as the story, I remember I watched it when it first came out, and then I kind of just tucked it away. I was like, no, I want to. I want to see this one fresh.
Yeah, no, I could totally respect that. I wish I had that that will to not know too much going in. So I definitely respect that. So if you didn't play Battlefront, you didn't play Force Unleashed. What were some Star Wars games that you did play other than Lego Star Wars? Or was it only Lego Star Wars?
I mean, I think it was only like when they came out with the initial trilogy, then they came out with the combined
Yeah,
prequels
yeah.
and sequels,
Uh-huh.
and the combined one was like the one that me, my brother, and my cousin played all the time, and we'd honestly just pull it up and start fights in the cantina and just play that like nonstop. Switch characters mid fight. I mean, it was so much fun to just mess around on Lego Star Wars for hours.
Yeah, no, me and my sister would do the exact same thing. So yeah, I
Yeah.
love to hear it, and love that, Star Wars video games are opening up to you a little more. Maybe you'll expand your horizons. That's awesome to hear. All right, cool. So now we get to probably my favorite part of these interviews is watching people struggle to rank the Star Wars movies. So Chris, I'll give you the floor. I'm assuming we're including Rogue One and Solo, because obviously you loved Rogue One.
Yeah, I think we
Okay.
should.
All right, cool. So we'll go, was it 11 to 1? So start with
Yeah.
your least favorite, and yeah, the floor is yours. I'll just make comments here and there, but yeah, I'll let you do the honors.
Um. Okay, so I think 11 is Solo.
Okay.
I just, I just, I just didn't, I just didn't like it. I just didn't like it. Then I would say 10 would be, I think 10 would be the Rise of Skywalker.
Okay. This is very close to my list. I like how this is starting.
Let me see. I let me see. Okay, so I think 9 would be The Last Jedi.
Okay.
8 would be, I'm honestly between Attack of the Clones and Force Awakens.
Okay. Well, let's see where the allegiance lies, in the prequels or the sequels there.
Oh, if we're talking as a set of 3, it's prequels all day.
Right.
Mm, I don't know. So what have I have Solo at 11,
Yep.
then Rise of Skywalker,
Mm-hmm.
Last Jedi. So this is 8.
Mm-hmm.
I think 8. I'm gonna do Attack of the Clones, and
Okay.
then 7, The Force Awakens. And
7 to 7.
now this is where it
Yeah.
gets tricky.
This is the fun part. But yeah, no, I respect the Force Awakens play there, because you had the Kylo tattoo. You gotta let him beat him out a couple times.
I did like I did think the opening Kylo scene when he just froze that bolt in the air for a long. I was like, okay, it's like this guy has the potential to be really cool.
Yeah.
Um, So then let me see what do we have left. We have Phantom Menace, we have Revenge of the Sith, we have all three of the original trilogy, and then Rogue One.
Yeah.
I think I'm gonna do Jedi. No, sorry, Phantom Menace.
Okay.
That's 6. I love Phantom Menace. Then 5 would be Jedi,
Okay.
Return of the Jedi, and then I think A New Hope would be 4th. And then this is where I can never decide.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
um, like my original, my go to in my heart, my favorite one has always been The Empire Strikes Back.
Okay.
I thought it was great. It was made. Um, one of the obviously one of the best, highly acclaimed movies in the whole Star Wars thing. But I think I'm gonna put it. I think I'm gonna put it at 3.
Okay. Empire Strikes Back at 3.
Yes. And then I'm gonna say Rogue One at 2. Just the story was. I just love Rogue One. I mean, just especially I thought the ending with Jin and Cassian sitting there, and they didn't do any forced romance. It was literally just them, just absolutely exhausted, and just like, but just knowing that they did it, and just like it was just the sense of accomplishment. It was in the face of the Death Star blast, one reactor blast or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
It was awesome, and then obviously the Vader scene. I did not expect it at all.
Yeah, that was a reshoot, which is funny. So like, you were right to not expect it because they didn't even expect it until they reshot it.
I mean, it was a brilliant, absolutely brilliant addition because like it's just like you can just see the fear of everyone, because like if you think about it, he's probably like more myth than anything. Like with the farther you get outside of Coruscant,
That's true.
like because most people that see him die, so like it's like oh, okay, yeah, Darth Vader or whatever. But then when you actually like hear the breathing and like everyone's eyes are like holy, and the guy's like reaching for the door, like, please.
Yeah.
I mean, that was just like I remember just gripping my seat, like holy shit, holy crap. And real quick, funny story about Rogue One. We saw it, like a few days after it came out, so there's still lines, outside the theater, waiting for the next showing. And literally, as we are breaching out into the hallway, my mom she's notorious for spoiling movies, and she goes, "I just can't believe everyone died." And then the guy standing in the front line was like,
"Oh my god!"
And I was like, "Mom, we got to like sprint out of here."
You need to get her in a car quick.
And we've never let her forget it.
Oh my gosh, that's awful. I mean, in her defense, it's a little implied that most people probably won't make it out in Rogue One. So I mean, she didn't. It wasn't the worst spoiler she could have picked for like any of the Star Wars movies. Like she definitely like not too bad, but still that guy waiting in the front, that's tough.
Yeah, that was bad. And then number 1, I mean, Revenge of the Sith. I mean, it's just the whole every time I watch it. Every single time I'm like, I still believe I'm like Anakin's gonna come around this time. He's gonna see through it. He's gonna see through it. But nope, every time it's just it's such a tragedy. It really is. That's like the whole. It's like that's what George wanted for like the prequels. It's like it's the tragedy of Anakin Skywalker. And then I mean the greatest lightsaber battle of all time.
Yeah, him and Obi-Wan.
So it's hard. It's hard that one alone carries it so high up the list. But then just the whole escalation of everything just makes it the best one in my opinion.
It's so emotional. And I definitely like connect with you on the fact that Rogue One and Revenge of the Sith, they don't end on the happiest notes. So like it's very effective. It makes you feel something where it's like the heroes didn't win. I mean, Rogue One's a little more hopeful because technically they did win, but they all die in the end. They all lose their lives, and then in Revenge of the Sith, the galaxy's just in a terrible place now because of what happened. And I'm sure after watching Clone Wars, like that even more solidified Revenge of the Sith because the Siege of Mandalore just like accelerates everything.
It did. It gave you. That's what I loved about the Clone Wars even more. It's like it gives you so much more color to the whole time period. And like now they're kind of like Mandalorian is kind of providing that post what that post world would be like before the First Order and all that, which I really like as well. But the Clone Wars just made it and it's so like whenever he comes out and he's just like, is Padme, Padme, and he's just yelling. You think like he like, I think that's when all like he really does become Vader, because it's like so much like sadness that Padme, the one thing he did it for,
Hmm.
he didn't get, and then as a result he killed like everyone that he loved, and he's
Right.
trapped in this like, he's like imprisoned in his own suit just to live, and like serving power. So I think like that's when he's just like, oh my god,
What have I
it's
done?
a horrible, it's horrible. Yeah, what have I done? That's exactly what it is. It's just,
Yeah, he physically like can't go back. Like he screwed up so big. He's like, wow, I just got to keep going down this terrible
yeah,
path. Um, yeah, I love the list. Very similar to mine. There were some differences, but overall, still kind of in the same vein. So I love the list, and yeah, every list I get, it's always Revenge of the Sith or Empire Strikes Back or Return of
hmm
the Jedi. Like those are the definitive three that people are
yeah,
always thinking about in the top three, and definitely like going back and forth in the top two. It's always just one of those two. So
yeah.
I think it definitely just speaks to how well George finished the prequels, like Revenge of the Sith, all these years later
Oh
is
yeah,
now like people's definitive number one Star Wars movie. Um,
yes.
so yeah,
Especially
I
our,
love hearing
especially
it.
our, especially our generation, like the people who watched it as kids, because it was our version of it, and I feel like everyone who grew up on the prequels like is for the prequels, like very loyal to the prequels.
For sure. Yeah. It's really cool, like the politics and just like the world and galaxy building that they do there. And like we just said, it's very it's tragic, it's emotional, it's a roller coaster. And then yeah, now Clone Wars makes Order 66 just like totally different. You see Cody and you're like,
Oh yeah,
Commander Cody, I feel for you, man. I'm sorry. I used to hate you because of what you did, but
yeah.
now I totally understand. I get it. And then seeing like Captain Rex go through Order
Yeah.
66, Ahsoka, and just like completely
Oh,
recontextualizing the clones.
it
It's
was
incredible.
horrible. I thought that was honestly my favorite episode of Tales of the Jedi was like her training with the clones, and then like
Mm,
after like it shows her just absolutely killing it, then it just cuts like to the elevator, like rising her up with all the clones with the weapons. That was just like holy shit. That
yeah.
was like, I was like, oh my god, that's
Don't
amazing.
do this to me again. Yeah.
I'm like, no,
Going
Dave
back
Filoni
through.
is just twisting the knife over and over again.
Yeah, and I wouldn't be surprised if he tries something with Ahsoka, the Ahsoka series. I don't know what he'll do, but I'm sure there's something
Oh yeah,
sad
there's
or
something.
something brutal he'll do.
Ahsoka's had such a sad,
Yeah.
sad go of it. Like the whenever she like whenever in the Mandalorian, when like the shit when the Razor Crest is taking off out of that planet that she was on, I can't remember. And like the music's kind of swelling and she's staring and watching it. Like my fiance was like literally crying. She loves Ahsoka, loves Ahsoka.
Yeah.
She was like, she's been through so much, and like she probably like seeing Grogu probably brought up so much pain for her, and I'm like, dang, I'm like, and then you really think of like, she has had a tragic life as well.
She's been a soldier for as long as she can remember. Which is yeah, and she's lost just as much or more than most people. Probably because she feels like she could have done something. Like at least the other people
Oh
in the
yeah,
galaxy, like they're like, wow, the galaxy sucks now. But she was like, damn, I could have maybe said the right
yeah.
thing, saved him.
Or
Um,
maybe if I join, maybe if I didn't leave the order, it's all.
exactly.
It's like
Yeah.
so much stuff
So much guilt.
going.
Yeah. No, I
So much
definitely
guilt.
will I will definitely rewatch that Mandalorian episode with that new lens. I'll be
Oh
like,
yeah.
yeah, no, she's really she's really going through it here, and the music there like is incredible.
Whenever. Oh, sorry, go.
Yeah, I was just gonna say like her motif, like her score, like for Ahsoka, her theme is I love it. I
Oh,
absolutely love
it's
it.
great. It's
So
so
good.
cool. It's like whenever that scene of her like pretty much bounding from airplane to airplane, riding on jetpacks down to the ground in Mandalore. It's like whenever I see it pop up, I'm like, all right, I'm gonna want it. It's just so cool.
Gotta rewatch this. Yeah, no,
Yeah,
her like epic, like her signature pose now with like the two blades, like one pointed
yeah,
at the camera, one backward. Like it's like her signature pose now, which I love. Um, but yeah, Chris, this has been great. Thank you so much for coming on. I'm glad I now have a full picture of your Star Wars story. Excited to put this out there, and maybe I'll put the screenshot in the health and well-being chat for Deloitte and be like,
yeah,
hey, who wants to if anyone wants to check
yeah,
out the new episode, Deloitte is now doing Star Wars stuff. So maybe
yeah.
I'll put
Let's
it
do
out
it.
there. Yeah.
Let's do it.
Awesome.
Maybe we can, if we, maybe leverage the Deloitte connections. Maybe we can get in as extras or something. Some Star
Oh my
Wars
God,
stuff.
you're right.
I'd be a scared citizen any day.
Yeah, thank you again, Chris. As always, everyone, thank you so much for listening. Follow me on Instagram at @star_wars_mark of balance. And as always, stay safe, stay healthy, and may the force be with you. Peace.
May the force be with you.